What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. It's a Monday morning, Monday afternoon. Whenever you're listening to this, it may not even be Monday, but it's coming out Monday. This is your Sports Digest. I'm your host, Alex McNinch. I'm going to be steering the ship here throughout the rest of the time I do this podcast. I've been wanting to do one of these things for 7 years now, and I finally mustered up the courage to be able to do it. Finally spent a little bit of money to be able to buy a microphone instead of talking through the AirPods. You probably heard my introduction. It is awful. The sound is awful. It sounds like it's a voicemail or something. It was pretty bad, but nonetheless, I have a passion for sports. I love sports. I watch everything. I keep up with a lot of stuff. I want to be able to speak my mind instead of just talking to a wall or maybe talking to my friends that may not know certain sports like baseball or hockey that they don't keep up with. I just figured I'd come on here and just speak my mind, whether anybody listens to this or not. I'm going to continue to do this. I want to keep doing this for a long time because it's just something I have a lot of passion for, is just talking sports. And I want to share that passion and love for it with everybody else. I feel like it'll be a good time. If you know me, which if you're listening to this episode, you probably already do, you know my love for sports. You know my favorite teams. You know how much I care, how much memorabilia I have. You know the only thing I wear are team shirts and clothing like that. So my love for sports is endless. So I just really want to keep pushing that message forward. But without further ado, let's hop right into it. On this show, we're mainly going to talk about the NBA, the MLB, NFL, NHL, and college sports. We want to keep away from all the political things, all the stuff that don't happen on the court, on the field, on the rink, in the clubhouse, dugouts, locker rooms, whatever. We want to keep all the extra non-sport stuff away from here. I want this to be escape from reality. That's one of my big things, is when it comes to sports, I always want to have sports as an escape from reality. And it seems as if sometimes, there's a lot of things that get mixed up within it, and it kind of ruins the idea or the love of sport for a lot of people. So I kind of want to just talk about things that happen, give you a rundown, maybe because, people are very busy. If you're especially my age, which I know a lot of people who are listening right now are, you got a lot of stuff in life going on. You may not be able to watch every single game, right? So you're just going to be reading stuff on your phone, looking up scores. Might as well listen to somebody who is going to watch it and knows going to keep up with it, talk about it for a while. And we're going to make some fun out of it. We're going to bring some guests on maybe at some points. Maybe get some interviews with college athletes, professional athletes maybe. But nonetheless, it's going to be a good time. Let's just jump right into it. And if you know me and you know anything about me, I am a diehard Memphis Grizzlies basketball fan. We're going to hop into the NBA here. And obviously, if you're paying attention at all, we got smacked last night, but the score doesn't replicate how bad of a game it was. We started off down 29 at one point in the game. That was the largest lead that the Lakers had against us. If you saw it, I'm sure you did. Dylan Brooks got ejected for allegedly punching LeBron in the nutsack. My opinion on that, I think Dylan was really he's going for a steal there. If you can see, LeBron's trying to do a behind-the-back crossover move. Dylan goes for the steal, but LeBron's body on the crossover shifts him into Dylan. It looks like he punches him, but I don't really think that's what Dylan does. I don't think Dylan was trying to get ejected there. He knows how important he is to this series and to this team. So I don't think that that's the case for him. But nonetheless, he got a flagrant 2 ejected. We saw it the other day with James Harden doing it on the push-off move on Royce O'Neal. That was a flagrant 2 as well, and he got ejected. So as soon as it happened, I knew that Dylan was probably going to be sent back to the locker rooms after that. But nonetheless, the Grizzlies fought back. Ended up making it a 10-point game by the end of the game. Ja had 22 straight points in the fourth quarter. That's insanity. Ended off in the 40s. But nonetheless, the Lakers take a 2-1 series lead there. And, I still have some confidence. I think going into the series, you see that Ja's hand's all busted up. Obviously, after the injury game one, it's a tough break. because, it's kind of important to use your right hand to dribble, especially for a guy that uses that explosiveness a lot and uses that hand a lot to finish at the rim. It's kind of important, but I still have some confidence. No Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark, obviously. Those are two big things you could see with Anthony Davis, Hachimura, Vanderbilt, whoever you want to throw in there. They all become an important part of the series because you don't have two guys that are insanely talented on the offensive and defensive side of the glass. Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, very underrated defenders, I think, in the wide scheme of the NBA. So I think those are obviously two big losses and two big deficits that you have as a team. Obviously, with the part that you don't really know who you want to play yet. It's tough, and the Lakers are just outplaying. Right? I came into the series, and I tell my friends this all the time. I come into the series thinking, like, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose because of the refs. And as game one went on, I was like, man, the refs aren't really a factor at all. They're just flat out playing better than we are. And if you're going to lose a game, I'd rather lose knowing that they're better than us. I'd rather lose knowing that the team is outplaying you and out hustling you than having to sit there and complain that the referees are screwing you the entire time. Like, nobody wants to deal with that, right? So, unless the Lakers take a 2-1 lead, we play tomorrow night. If you're listening, we play tonight. Like I said, I'm recording on Sunday night. Currently, the Celtics and Hawks are playing right now in Game 4. That's on the TV at the moment. So, just to give you a brief analysis where I am, I'm going to miss a couple games in between now and the time that this gets posted. But right now, Lakers up 2-1. I still have some faith. I think we're one of the better teams in making adjustments going into Game 2. Or into Game 2, we made great adjustments. I think that it'll reflect the same tomorrow night. I'm hoping that we come out and play with a lot of energy and pace, because you see a lot of the time that we have been playing terrible and there's no energy. We're just standstill basketball, ISO basketball. Nobody's really moving around. And then on defense, not knowing where to switch onto, don't know who your assignments are. You don't know where the help defense is on the back screens, the backdoor cuts, the screen and fades all the time. It's absolute killer. So I'm hoping we make an adjustment. Rotations change a little bit, maybe get some minutes changing. I think that we have a good chance to continue going on the series. I think this is going 7. If things go right, I think it goes 7. But nonetheless, that's the big thing for me as a Grizzlies fan. That's obviously going to weigh on my mind more a little bit than the other teams. But there's plenty of other games, other great series going on. As I mentioned, the Celtics and Hawks are going on right now. The Celtics are up 2-1 in the series. Dominant Game 1. Everybody was saying Atlanta don't even show up for Game 2. They didn't show up for Game 2 either. That was an absolute crap show. But then Game 3, the Celtics started out hot. They were hitting from 3 in the first quarter. Atlanta wasn't hitting anything in the first quarter. And then the entire motivation just changed for Atlanta for some reason. They took over that game, made it theirs, and pushed forward, got the win. So they avoid getting swept, but I think that there's no way that they end up winning the series at all. I think by the time we talk again that the series is over. So sorry if you're a Hawks fan, but Boston's clearly the better team, the more talented team, but I don't know what Atlanta's going to have to do. They're going to have to put a lot of pressure onto Tatum and Brown. And you're going to have to make these other guys like Derek White or Marcus Smart or Malcolm Brogdon, Sam Hauser, all these other guys score. But it's proven in Game 1 and 2 that even when you try to stop the other two, Derek White's going to give you 25 points. So it's a tough one. But we move on as well to another Eastern Conference series that happened. It's over. The 76ers sweep the Brooklyn Nets 4-0. They ended up winning and clinching the Game 4 victory on Saturday. 96-88 victory. Joel Embiid did not play in that game. That's a big talking point here. With Joel Embiid being out with that knee injury, Doc Rivers coming out and saying that there's question for if he starts the second round healthy. They already said that they didn't know the beginning of next week if he'd be ready to go. So that's a tough loss. If your MVP is going to be out, that's a tough loss. But a couple of things to touch on that series. James Harden in Game 1 was unbelievable. The 76ers in Game 1 was unbelievable. They just couldn't miss from three. The Nets really fought hard. They obviously, you can tell that they just don't have the talent. They don't have the personnel yet. But Mikal Bridges, man. Mikal Bridges. It was reported that the Grizzlies offered 4 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. And you can see why. That man is unbelievable. He can get any shot he wants. He knocks down most of the shots he takes. He takes a high volume of threes that he makes, too. That's very important. And another person we could touch on is Cam Johnson. He had a great Game 2, 3, and 4-ish. But Game 2 was really a big game for Cam Johnson. I think he's going to be one of the more underrated free agents in this offseason. He declined the extension that the Suns gave him the beginning of this season, or in the offseason, wherever the extension was extended. He declined that. Obviously traded here in the Kevin Durant trade. And I think he's a very underrated pickup for a team that's looking to add another piece where he can play some solid defense for you. But man, he can knock down some shots, and he can finish at the rim, which we've seen. So I think he's going to be a really underrated guy. But man, for Philly, you're playing Boston next round, most likely. I'm not counting out Atlanta, but I think they play Boston next round. But if they with either team they play, you're going to have somebody step up. Tyrese Maxey's going to have to be a guy. Tobias Harris is going to have to shoot like he's playing for LA again. That's important. But one of the key guys is DeAnthony Melton, former Grizzly, coming off the bench. He's going to be very, very, very important for that team because he is now that guy off the bench. He is the only guy that you can truly rely on now because you're having to switch guys into the starting rotation now without Joel. It becomes tedious and tough with the scoring aspect off the bench for the 76ers. It was a very low-scoring series in total, but especially that Game 4. It was a rough scoring watch, but the defense was great, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But nonetheless, 76ers sweep the Brooklyn Nets 4-0. They play the winner of Boston and Atlanta in the second round. Moving on to another Eastern Conference series, the Miami Heat. Man, the Miami Heat, man. You just can't count out Eric Spoelstra. You just really can't. He is one of those guys where it's like, if he's coaching for you, you got a chance to win. No matter who you got out in the court, Eric Spoelstra is going to give you a chance to win. And it's going to be an easier chance to win when you got a guy named Jimmy Butler on the team as well. That guy is a winner. Wherever he goes, he wins. He took Minnesota to their first playoff series in how many years that was when he went to Minnesota. Philly made it all the way to the second round against Toronto, where they obviously had the whole Kawhi shot that happened in the corner. But they were insanely good that year as well. Obviously, we all know the bubble year. We all remember the bubble with Jimmy Butler. You see him hunched over on the sidelines after a 40-point triple-double. Jimmy Butler is just a winner, man. He really is. And obviously, they've taken advantage of the fact that Giannis got hurt early on in Game 1. Obviously, they unfortunately lost Tyler Hero in Game 1 as well to a broken hand or wrist. Whatever it was. It was one of those two. And then yesterday, it just came out a few hours ago that Victor Oladipo tore his patella. He's going to be out for the series. There's another guy off the bench that has experience playing in the NBA that you can rely on defensively that won't be there anymore. So it's tough, but they just insert Duncan Robinson into the lineup. Hasn't really played high volume of minutes since, December time frame. And he comes out there and just knocks down 3 straight threes for you. He had 20 points off the bench. And once again, that just goes back to Eric Spoelstra, man. You just never know who he's going to throw out there and how it just turns out, right? You see it. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. Who thought that they were going to be starting players on a playoff team, a conference finals playoff team, let alone it's just over Kyle Lowry, a guy who is a multi-time All-Star, a vet in this league is getting paid a lot of money, but yet you're playing these undrafted guys over him. Man, Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley too, obviously. He's a big part of it. They just know how to win. They know how to find winning players, and all credit to them. But moving on to another series, we'll go back to the Western Conference here to finish out the last three series we got. We'll talk about Phoenix first, mainly because it's kind of a bummer series. You know, you see Game 1, you saw Kawhi Leonard just lock down Kevin Durant for as much as he could. Saw him play incredibly well. Russell Westbrook shot 3 for 19 in that game, I believe, and ended up making the game-winning play of getting the block and throwing it off. Devin Booker throws it out of bounds and won the Clippers that game there at the end. And then it was announced that Game 2 just randomly out the blue. Nobody even knew that Kawhi Leonard was going to be ruled out for Game 2, and it was just like, whoa, why is this happening? Are we load managing into the playoffs? Like, is that what's going on here? But obviously, everybody's seen the report about his sister and stuff like that, and there's a lot of conspiracy going around thinking that maybe that's the case of why he's been missing these games. But you know, I don't think that's something that happened in 2019 and it just, you know, finally got settled. I don't know if something that happened that long ago is going to affect the way that he plays or if he does play at all today. But if he is really hurt, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest knowing Kawhi Leonard. He finds a way to get hurt somehow. And that's no slight. I love Kawhi Leonard. We need Kawhi Leonard on the court to have fun basketball. This series was going to go 7. I think the Clippers were going to win this series if Kawhi Leonard was able to stay on the court and play basketball, because that Game 1, man, that Game 1, Phoenix they didn't have an answer for anything that they were bringing with Kawhi. There's just something about Kawhi playing in the playoffs that just makes him unstoppable, and it's so fun to watch. But nonetheless, Phoenix takes a 3-1 series lead on Saturday with a 112-100 victory on the road. They're up 3-1 in the series coming back to Phoenix. If Kawhi doesn't play again, there's a good chance we will be seeing Phoenix move on to the next round to face either Denver or Minnesota. Chris Paul hits a dagger shot in the corner to win Game 4. Devin Booker had a great game. Kevin Durant had a great game. But what are you going to do to stop those kind of guys? You know, they're just pure scorers. That's all they do. They know how to score and score and score and score. And I think Kevin Durant's an underrated defender overall. But, man, like, if you play a team that just has a deep roster, if you look at the Suns and you look at their bench depth, Josh Okogie is their best guy coming off the bench for you. I'm not scared of Josh Okogie coming off the bench and giving you buckets if I'm any other team in the league, right? So it's like you got to force these two to do anything and let everybody else try to figure it out around you, right? So I hope that series continues to go, but man, it's just so cool. It's so cool seeing Russell Westbrook be back to where he was, because man, there was that time when he played for LA and everybody was clowning him, was shaming him for what he did wrong, and thought that he was the whole problem, man. When it's just, you realize you can't play with 3 ball dominant guys on offense. Westbrook needs the ball in his hands. AD needs the ball in his hands. LeBron needs the ball in his hands. That just doesn't work. It really doesn't, right? And, you know, Westbrook isn't a guy where he's playing off the ball and you kick it out to him wide open for 3 and he's going to knock it down like 50% of the time or 40% of the time even. He's not one of those guys, hence why they went and picked up D'Lo, made that move. But we're seeing right now that Russell Westbrook can still be Russell Westbrook if it comes down to it. And, man, it's just so cool to see. But LA, you're going to need some guys to step up. Norman Powell scored 42 in Game 3, I believe. In Game 3, Norman Powell scored 42. He's going to be your next big guy to step up. Terrence Mann, I don't think he can step up. Nick Batum, I don't know if he can step up either. Marcus Morris, probably not going to step up. Zubac can only score so much. Bones Highland, sure. I don't know, man. I don't think that's going to go any farther if Kawhi doesn't play, and which sucks because I really wanted to see Kawhi and Paul George play in a playoff series one more time because Paul George was really having a good year when he was staying healthy and when he was healthy. He was really killing it. So, moving on to the next playoff series. We're actually going to jump back to the East because I can't believe I just didn't even talk about this. This happened this morning. The Knicks and the Cavs played this morning. The New York Knicks won 102-93. Put them up 3-1 in the series. They went in the Garden, and man, is it fun to watch the Knicks play a playoff game in New York City at Madison Square Garden. That crowd is just absolutely electric. There's no way around it. Like, when you see the Knicks are playing a playoff game, it's like, oh, okay, we'll watch the Knicks. But when it's at MSG, you know that is a game you have to tune into because the crowd is just amazing. They're chanting R.J. Barrett at the free throw line. They're just chanting random stuff. The amount of celebrities that are there, it's such a cool environment. But let's talk about a guy that, this offseason signed a big money contract, and a lot of people immediately jump to it. It's like, whoa, $100 million for Jalen Brunson? Is he really worth that money? This man was a second option, kind of like he was an guy for Dallas for a long time, and he just has 1 year, and now he's getting paid $100 million. But I think everybody's realizing how important this man is and how good of a basketball player he is. He gets any shot he wants. He's a mid-range demon. He can hit you from the outside, and he can find a way to score in the paint as well. He's a very skilled technical player. I guess that's the way to put it. It's just so fun to watch him play, man. But one of the underrated guys, I think, and I've been saying this for a while as well, I wanted the Grizzlies to pick him up at the trade deadline. One of the most underrated players, I think, overall in the NBA is Josh Hart. And boy, have we seen that this series. Josh Hart has made Donovan Mitchell's life a living hell. It has been absolutely awful for Donovan Mitchell to be playing offense because it's just the fact that Josh Hart is everywhere on him. Every single place he goes, like Josh Hart is just, he's everywhere. I can't even describe it because the way he plays basketball is very Tayshaun Prince-esque to me. And if you don't know who Tayshaun Prince is, he played for the Pistons when they won the championship in 2004. He played for the Raptors, I think, a little bit, and they got traded to the Grizzlies. He's just a guy that kind of a 3-and-D guy, doesn't really take a high volume amount of threes, but he's going to run out in transition. He's going to play lockdown defense on you. He's going to make the hustle plays. He's going to crash the glass. He's a winning basketball player. This man was a national champion at Villanova for a reason. So he's just one of those guys that you look at and it's like, this guy knows how to win. It's kind of like how Jimmy Butler is. This guy knows how to win. So that the Knicks team is rolling. Thibodeau knows what he's doing. He's coached teams in the playoffs before, and you're going up against a Cavs team that's pretty young. A lot of hype coming around them into the season, getting Donovan Mitchell, but Donovan Mitchell hasn't played great. Darius Garland started out 0 for 9 in Game 3. Like, that's awful. Jared Allen's a non-factor. He hasn't gotten 10 rebounds, I think, this entire series, which is ridiculous for a guy who's a very good rebounder. Evan Mobley's kind of playing but then once you get to the bench, Caris LeVert and Isaiah Okoro, they've just bounced back and forth, starting and not. And JB Bickerstaff is a cool coach and all, but I saw single-handedly how he can construct a roster and how he can work with the guys he's gotten. It's just not pretty. It's just not pretty at all. But I'm not counting out the Cavs. I wanted this series to be really good because I thought it was going to be an incredibly great series. I thought it was going to go 7, but it's not looking like it right now. And moving on to the final series, we talk about. We saved this for last. Oh no, actually, forgot. We got one more series. We'll talk about the Warriors and the Kings first. No, let's talk about the Nuggets and Timberwolves. That series is pretty much over. They play tonight. Nuggets are up 3-0. The Timberwolves have no answer. They don't have any players that can play good. I feel so bad for Mike Conley. He's my favorite player of all time, and he's just living in hell right now. With him and Anthony Edwards have no escape from we in Minnesota now. Cat just is not good at basketball. Rudy Gobert, also not good at basketball. Your best defender broke his hand by punching a wall. Kyle Anderson, I feel so bad. He's there too. He just wants to win as well, and he can't because he's on this team. As you can tell, I'm not a big Minnesota Timberwolves fan, but they brought it upon themselves last year. So Nuggets in 4, I think, is what's going to happen. Jokic is unstoppable. That team, when they get rolling, man, when they get clicking, their chemistry is off the charts. But that's Mike Malone's offense, man. They have a free-flowing offense where it's so unselfish, where Michael Porter Jr. can give you 25 a night, and then Jamal Murray comes up and gives you 40. And then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope gives you 20. And it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Aaron Gordon, borderline all-star this year. Bruce Brown coming off the bench. It's just they have such good depth. It's just when they run into these star-powered teams, who's going to step up and defend? Is it Michael Porter Jr.? Is it Aaron Gordon, excuse me? It's tough to tell. But I like the Nuggets have just looked flat out dominant. And Minnesota's a great environment to play a playoff game in. And still it was hard for them to even play at home. The Nuggets were just dominant everywhere. But we move on to the last game of the series. And that's going to be Golden State and Sacramento. That game just ended. De'Aaron Fox is clutch as all hell. That man, he won Clutch Player of the Year for a reason. I guess that's an award now, so that's cool. But De'Aaron Fox is the man. Steph Curry is the man. We all knew that. Andrew Wiggins is back, which is huge for the Warriors. He was the reason that they beat the Grizzlies in the playoffs last year because he made a difference because we left him open and he hit all of his shots. Once he gets his groove back, he's looking like he's starting to get it. It's going to be great. Obviously, I'm sure people want to hear my take on Draymond kicking the shit out of Domantas Sabonis in Game 2. Was his suspension worth it? Absolutely. Draymond definitely knew what he was doing, right? It's just you look at him and you know who Draymond is. You know how he plays. You know that's exactly what he was trying to do. That's exactly what he was trying to do. So it was very deserving that he got ejected and suspended. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's been beaten to a dead horse this entire week. You've probably heard so much stuff about it. But I'm on the side that Draymond should have been suspended. And sure, am I going to be biased because he hates on my team? Yeah, sure, whatever. But I genuinely do think that Draymond deserves to be suspended was deserved of that suspension. And the Warriors won a thriller today, 126-125. Harrison Barnes bricked 2 threes in the last minute. That didn't hurt me personally on anything I had money on. Definitely didn't. But nonetheless, the Warriors even up the series back up 2-2. They're going back to Sacramento, one of the best environments. That is so fun to watch. But I don't know. This is going 7. I'm thinking Sacramento can still pull it off here. But I don't know. The deeper this series goes, I think it favors the Warriors more, even though they have older guys. I think it favors them a lot more with the fact that Steph Curry. Oh, this guy named Steph Curry's on the team. He's kind of good at basketball. So I think that's very important. I think this goes 7, like I said. But man, it's fun to watch De'Aaron Fox play basketball, especially when he's clicking in clutch time. And the last thing we can talk about in the NBA is Nick Nurse got fired. The former head coach of the Toronto Raptors won a championship in 2019 with them. He was recently fired, I believe Thursday or Friday. I cannot remember what day, but he was fired. There's reports that Ime Udoka, the former Celtics head coach, who obviously had all that stuff going off the court before the season started, could be the next in line to step in and be the head coach of the Raptors. Nick Nurse looking like he would be going to Houston. I don't know. We'll talk more about all the coaching stuff and all that kind of crap in the offseason. Right now we're focused on the playoff series, and, man, we got some good ones going, and I'm having fun watching the playoffs. I hope you guys are having fun watching the NBA playoffs because this is some of the most fun stuff. And they're playing at some of the most fun arenas with great crowds. So I hope everybody's enjoying the playoffs because that's what it's all about. Or I guess you can call it, the NFL. We're in the off-season period. Not really much going on except for the NFL draft being this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, afternoon, whatever time they end up having it. But the first round is going to be on Thursday evening. ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, whatever, all those channels, they'll have everybody there doing all that stuff. And there's a lot of mock drafts you're going to be seeing going around. CBS, ESPN, NFL.com. You're going to find mock drafts everywhere. And, there's been a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, the big thing, Bryce Young canceling the rest of his workouts and visits early this week, which led to all signs pointing that Carolina is looking to take him number 1 overall. If you look at all the betting sites right now, minus 2,000, minus 1,600 favorite to be picked number 1 overall. He's the consensus number 1 overall pick right now, as he has been the entire year, despite all this late traction with C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, all this type of stuff. Bryce Young deservedly number 1, and it's looking like he's going to be. But for the rest of the draft, it's tough to point out exactly what's going to happen, especially with the fact that number 2, it was reported earlier this week that the Texans are not looking to get a quarterback if Bryce Young's the guy who's picked, which is kind of odd. I get why. I know they wanted Bryce Young, and that was probably the quarterback that they have been waiting for the entire time. They expected to get the number 1 overall pick, and they didn't. But I don't know if they want to wait till the next draft class to maybe get Caleb Williams, Drake May, any of those guys. But I don't know. I like C.J. Stroud as a quarterback. I really do. I think he has a good chance. He's got a good archetype to be an NFL quarterback. I think he's solid. The Ohio State offense is odd to judge quarterbacks on. You see how Justin Fields is now starting to kind of really become a guy for the Bears. You don't know how C.J. Stroud's really going to be for a little bit. I think with a new head coach, they should probably be going for a new quarterback. I just don't know if they're really convinced on any of the 3, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, or Will Levis. But right now, if you're looking at any of the betting sites, if you're a betting guy, I'm a betting person, but if you're looking at any of the betting sites, minus 120, minus 140, minus 140, minus 149, Will Levis to be the 2nd overall pick of the draft. And I don't know how I feel about that, because that's just a very weird late thing. Obviously, there was traction of him being number 1 at one point, but this is a really weird, like last-second movement on all these lines. And I don't know what they know, because they obviously know more than we do. But I don't know. I think they're going to go edge. I think they're going to go with the edge rusher here. They got Jonathan Grenard on one end. I think they're going to need another guy. Tyree Wilson is out of Texas Tech, is one of the guys that is also up here, plus 250 to be picked 2nd. You can see Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. Obviously, at one point, the consensus number 1 overall pick going into this year at plus 500. You can still see Jalen Carter maybe. Obviously, all the stuff they have off the field. You can still see a chance that Jalen Carter is picked number 2. I think it just really just depends. What we see throughout this week, there's going to be more stuff that's reported, more things that get leaked. So I don't know what the Texans are going to do at 2. And then 3 is obviously interesting as well, because who's trading up to 3? I think it's known that the Cardinals aren't going to stay at 3 and that they're going to trade back with one of the teams that are looking to get a quarterback. C.J. Stroud also could be picked there. There's rumors of the Colts trading up 1 pick to make sure that they get their guy. I can see that happening. I can see another team trying to jump up, maybe hopping in, like the Falcons maybe, trying to go get the quarterback that they want, even though they said that they believe in Desmond Ridder. Maybe Washington tries to jump up to 3 and get a quarterback. I don't know. It's a very odd situation, but right now, if you're looking at all your sports books, plus 250 is the consensus odds range for C.J. Stroud to be the number 3 overall pick. Look at number 4, Will Levis is plus 110 on a lot of websites to be the 4th pick. C.J. Stroud at plus 250 to be that guy. And then at number 5, Tyree Wilson plus 250. And Will Anderson also at plus 250 to be picked by the Seahawks at number 5. It's tough to see. It's tough to say right now. I know we're so close to it, but it really just doesn't feel like the draft is about to happen. There really hasn't felt like this traction was coming up that the draft is happening, but I don't know. We'll see. But if you're looking for guys to potentially look for, maybe not even a day one guy, maybe a day two, day three guy, you want to look at that can potentially make a roster, make an impact on a team. I think you got to look at a couple guys. First, we'll go with a guy who's probably going to get picked in the first round. Zay Flowers out of Boston College. There's been a lot of traction with him recently. I liked his stuff in college at Boston College. He's a prototypical slot guy in the NFL. I think he was brought into a private workout with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs this past week, so that's kind of important to look out for, especially with a team that just won the Super Bowl that could potentially trade up and get another super, super, super good weapon. Patrick Mahomes is just going to make anybody look good anyway. So another guy you can look at is a wide receiver out of Tennessee. Not Jalen Hyatt, which has gotten a lot of traction, but I think Cedric Tillman is a guy that you need to look out for. He's had a lot of injuries here this past 2 years, I believe. But man, he's one of those guys that he's just going to go get the ball. He's going to go get the ball for you. He's going to make plays. He's a polished route runner. He's aggressive. I think he's a guy you can look at day two, maybe even jumping up to day one if a lot of wide receivers jump off the board quickly. He's definitely a day two guy for sure. There's a lot of traction gaining around him as well online. A lot of people like him. I think he is one of the guys that could really jump out of this draft class, as you could see, like the second, third round guy, and it's like, oh man, why did we pass on him? So that'll be interesting. And then the last guy I have to talk about here is another offensive guy, and it's my boy Tajay Spears from Tulane. He's a running back. He's a little smaller, a little skinnier guy, but he runs hard. He's like Miles Sanders coming into the league, where he's a little bit smaller, not as built, but he is so quick, so elusive. He can do special teams. He's a great pass catcher. He's just a guy who just refuses to go down. And I think he's a guy you can see going in the second, third, fourth round, maybe even fifth round. I don't know where they have him exactly, but watching him play, man, he's just so good. I think he's a valuable guy, valuable 2, maybe 3 on a team that could need running back depth. So Tajay Spears is a guy to look out for. Come draft weekend here, it's one of those fun things to have. Maybe I'll have a couple of mock draft picks come Wednesday's show. I don't know. We'll see. I know everybody wants to post their own mock drafts. I'm not going to post my entire mock draft just because I don't know that much about this entire thing to pick everything correctly. But maybe I'll give you guys my top 10. Who I think is going top 10, maybe some trades. And then the last thing we talk about the NFL, I mean, the Cardinals uniforms, like, what the hell is that? That shit is just terrible. Like, I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. That shit is terrible. That is terrible. Like, there's this trend going on within all the sports when it's coming to new uniforms, and it seems like the more simple, the better. When in reality, it's not. Nobody wants to look at just some plain jersey. We saw the Commanders last year. No offense. Those uniforms are terrible. They're just plain. The black ones are cool. The white ones are all right, but they just look crappy and they look plain. Nobody wants a plain jersey. That's what the Cardinals look. They look plain. I told some of my buddies that if you ever played NCAA 14, the video game on the Xbox or PlayStation, they look like one of those high school creative uniforms that you can create for your high school. That's how bad they look. They just look so plain. And I don't care if Kyler's going to be wearing it and everybody's going to get a Kyler Murray jersey in it. It's just, they don't look good. They just don't look good. And simpler the better. That's wrong. Get us flashier jerseys, throwback jerseys, something. Just make it look better. It's annoying to see that there's so much potential with the colorway that they have. Black, red, white. Like, that's such cool colors, in my opinion. I probably can find a way to create that own jersey for a local youth football team here in Mississippi and probably get even better looking jerseys than that. It's just pathetic. It's pathetic. And we'll talk here a little bit about the college football rules as well. We'll touch on the NCAA just because there's not as much going on. The major sports are in their kind of off-season periods. Spring practice is over. A lot of the games are over. But we'll talk about the new rule change. The NCAA announced that there's going to be no stoppage of clock after first down or for first downs, except inside 2 minutes of the second and fourth quarters. Obviously, if you watch college football, you know that after a team gets a first down, the clock stops until the ball is placed down and everybody is set, and then the refs will roll the clock. But now that's taken away, except for inside the 2 minutes of each half. I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not. I guess you'll have to see how it is in game. I guess they want a faster pace. I guess that's just the trend with every sport now is everybody wants a faster pace. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Like I said, it's going to have to just depend in game. My immediate thoughts, I hate it. It makes college unique. You know the clock's always going to stop at a first down. You know you only need 1 foot to get to stay in bounds for it to be a catch. It's just some of those things that make college football a little bit more unique. But I get it that they're trying to make it a little bit more NFL-like to where people are more adjusted to the period. But you never really see this issue within the NFL with rookies where they are like, oh, man, I forgot that I have to get 2 feet in bounds. Or, oh, man, the first down, the clock isn't going to stop, so we have to hurry up. Like, that's just not a thing that happens. Like, people adjust to that. People know that that's happening. So why not just keep it in college? Just keep it unique. There's a reason that everybody loves college sports, and it's the atmosphere around it, and it's the game within it. It's just much better. I mean, talking about the rest of the NCAA, I mean, Quinn Ewers pretty much wins the quarterback battle at Texas. I guess that's one of the big things. Dion had his first game at Colorado for the spring game. It was snowing. Brock Vandagriff from Georgia potentially is leaving. Not enjoying what happened with Carson Beck, I guess, taking his job, it looks like. The portal's heating up. That's just what it is after spring practice. A lot of people are leaving. A lot of Florida guys are leaving. That's my team. So a lot of guys are leaving Florida, but what's new with that? In college basketball, portal's heating up as well. Caleb Love going to Michigan. Hunter Dickinson taking his visit to Kentucky, I believe, this week as this is being recorded. So it'll be cool to see where he goes, I guess. But nonetheless, right now, it's just for those two main sports in college, there's not much going on. We'll talk a little bit more college baseball when the conference tournaments and the tournament's going to get ready to start. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So if you want to watch all that stuff, I can get you ready for that when it happens. But right now, we're kind of in this dead period of college sports where it's like we're almost to the summertime where baseball is going to be in their playoffs. And then right after that, we're transitioning into football. All right. Well, we are at this point in the podcast where we've talked about the NBA, we've talked about the NFL, we've talked about college sports. And now if you don't care about any of this stuff, I don't blame you for tuning out. I get it. I asked if you still stay. I think I can help you understand and learn more about the MLB and the NHL because they're just fun to watch. It's really fun to watch, but I'm a baseball guy, so I'm genuinely going to watch that. But playoff hockey is some of the most fun stuff. The playoffs are happening for the NHL. We're going to quickly run through a lot of things. If you keep up with hockey, you're going to know what I'm talking about. If you don't keep up with hockey, I'm going to keep you up with what's going on in these series. Let you know who these teams are. Kind of let you know how good these teams are. First off, we have Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights, the second newest expansion franchise in the NHL. They're taking on the Winnipeg Jets in a first-round matchup in the Western Conference. Vegas just took a 2-1 lead yesterday and a 5-4 double overtime victory. Now, the cool thing about hockey is that they have two different types of overtimes. In the regular season, for overtime, they play a 5-minute 3-on-3 period. And if nobody scores there, they go to the shootout that everybody knows and loves. Not really. If you watch hockey, nobody really loves it, but everybody loves a shootout if you aren't a hockey fan. But in the NHL playoffs, you don't want to end it on a shootout. You got to end it on actual skill of the hockey game. So you have it's just like another whole full 20-minute period in hockey overtime. So they had two of those, and Vegas ended up winning 5-4 that day. They're up 2-1 in the series. Another game that happened on Saturday, Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3 in an overtime game. Toronto now leads the series 2-1. Toronto is trying to do something here where they win a playoff series for the first time since, I believe, 2001 maybe. I might be wrong. I'd have to look it up. I don't have it on. But it's been a long time. It's been a long time since Toronto has won a playoff series. That's one of the most popular franchises. Everybody, once I said the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm sure everybody who doesn't know anything about hockey knows exactly what I'm talking about, knows that team I'm talking about. So Toronto's looking to upset the former multi-time Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. They play again, I believe, Monday night when you'd be listening to this. Another series that happened as well. The New York Rangers are taking on the New Jersey Devils. The Devils won in a 2-1 overtime victory on Saturday night as well. They ended up getting their first win in the series, but the Rangers still hold a 2-1 lead in the series. That's a cool one. The Rangers have Artemi Panarin, Patrick Kane. You probably know Patrick Kane's name. They have a goalie named Igor Shesterkin, who is, well, last year was regarded as probably the best goalie in the NHL. Right now, he's not playing to the same level that he was last year. But you look at this Rangers team, and you can compare it kind of to like the Kings of the NBA. I'd say more Phoenix. I'd say more Phoenix because you traded for a superstar. They traded for Patrick Kane at the deadline. You got another young guy, Devin Booker, like Artemi Panarin, and you got a vet in Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, like you do with Chris Paul. So that team's very good. The Devils are an up-and-coming team with Jack Hughes. He's a good guy, good player, but it's not looking great for them right now. Today, on Sunday, the Boston Bruins, beat the Florida Panthers in a 5-2 win. A little scuffle that happened at the end there. Don't worry about that as much. It wasn't really nothing. But the Bruins take a 3-1 series lead. They broke the record this year, if you haven't seen, for the most wins in NHL history in one single season, the most points recorded in a single season. So they're the consensus favorite to win the Stanley Cup Finals. But in hockey, if you know anything about hockey, you never know what's going to happen. But they have a 3-1 series lead over the Florida Panthers. And they play their game 5 on Tuesday, I believe. So be tuned in for that one. The Bruins are a fun team to watch. But moving on to the Western Conference, the rest of the Western Conference matchups. The Colorado Avalanche beat the Seattle Kraken 6-4 on Saturday night. I'm a Seattle Kraken fan. They're the newest expansion franchise into the NHL. The Colorado Avalanche are the defending Stanley Cup champions, beating Tampa Bay in the Stanley Cup last year. The Avalanche, they just have this offensive power and aura about them that it's so hard to even stop. They come into it at a fast pace. They're all experienced in the playoffs, but I don't know. Seattle, we got a lot to do. We got a young team, got a lot of vets as well, but not a lot of top superstar players. Unlike the Avalanche, who have Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, lining up their two superstars there. And moving, actually, we forgot an Eastern Conference series. This is my first episode, guys. Give me some slack, please. I'm just absolutely all over the place right now. We got another Eastern Conference series. The Hurricanes of Carolina, the Carolina Hurricanes, beat the Islanders on Sunday 5-2. The Islanders, they are New York Islanders. And Carolina's up 3-1 in that series. Carolina, solid team as well. Could be one of those teams that can make a run if everybody stays healthy and people perform to the way that they are. They can make a good run as well. We'll bump over to the Minnesota Wild versus the Dallas Stars. That game is going on right now as we speak. I have no clue what the score is, but let me check. Actually, it is 1-0 Dallas. Dallas has had an unbelievable season. They're just a great group of guys who have been counted out a lot, and they're just trying to overcome the odds, I guess you can say. Jason Robertson, one of the leading goal scorers in the NHL this year, playing for Dallas. But Minnesota, man, they've really shocked some teams. Kaprizov is one of the more fun young guys in the NHL. He plays for Minnesota. And if you know who Marc-Andre Fleury is, I'm sure you have. He former goalie for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He plays for the Minnesota Wild as well, but he hasn't played, I think, this series at all, so that doesn't really matter. And then finally, the last series here in the NHL, the Los Angeles Kings are taking on the Edmonton Oilers. I'm sure you know the Edmonton Oilers for Wayne Gretzky, and maybe the best player in hockey. Maybe. He is the best player in hockey, and Connor McDavid. He is unbelievably talented. But something about this Edmonton Oilers team, man, it's just they can't get over the hump ever. The Kings are up 2-1 in the series. They play on Sunday night, late tonight, so I do not have the results for you for that. But Edmonton, man, I don't know what's going on with them, but they just can't win a playoff series. And Connor McDavid is wasting his time there. He's going to become a free agent, I believe, in the next 2 or 3 years. So that's something to look out for in the NHL. But I really just encourage you, if you've never watched hockey, if you never watched the NHL playoffs, please trust me when I tell you this. And maybe it's because I'm a northerner kind of, and I have some bias, but it's so much fun to watch. So much fun. So please just give it a chance. I promise you it's worth it. And finally, we'll talk about the MLB. They are in full swing here at the start of their season. We'll talk about them a lot more in the summer because that's going to be one of the only things that are going on. And, eventually people are going to watch baseball, and it's just how it is. People enjoy going to baseball games. But the pitch clock that has been implemented has really helped the game, I think, in the way that casual fans who don't want to spend all this time watching this game, it's such a quicker pace. Yeah, you see some of these things happen where there's some pitch clock violations, but honestly, at the end of the day, man, it is so fun to watch. I'm enjoying it a lot more, I think. But I'm also a guy who watches all 162 of Red Sox games, so it's not going to alter my decision either way. But nonetheless, we'll kind of go over a little bit of the standings right now. In the AL East, the Tampa Bay Rays, who you probably have seen, started out the season 13-0. One of the best starts in MLB history. They're 19-3 right now, leading the American League East, followed by the Baltimore Orioles, who have a lot of young talent on that team. They're 14-7, but the worst team in that division, the Boston Red Sox, are 12-11. We'd be leading the division in 3 of the other 5. So it's a tough division. Tough division to say the least. If you go to the AL Central, the Minnesota Twins are leading with a record of 12-10. They're a solid team. Their pitching staff is incredible, but they don't got any bats, really. They don't really have much hitting-wise to sustain themselves. Go to the AL West. Right now, the Texas Rangers are leading the AL West. Behind Jacob deGrom now on the team. Houston Astros are right behind it, defending world champions, 12-10. Shohei Ohtani's and Mike Trout's Los Angeles Angels are 11-11 in third place in that division. Moving on over to the National League. We have a two-way tie for the top of the NL East. The New York Mets and Atlanta Braves are both 14-8, tied for first place in that division. I assume a lot of people are Braves or Mets fans watching this, honestly. So there's your update on those teams. We'll move to the NL West first, as the Arizona Diamondbacks, one of the more shocking teams of the season so far, are 12-10 in first place of that division, but right on their heels are the Dodgers and the Padres at 12-11 and 11-12. They're right there. There's a chance they could be taking them over here in the next couple days. But the real talk of the town here is in the NL Central, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are 16-7 and are on a 7-game win streak, which I believe that ties the MLB's longest win streak since 2018, which would be the Boston Red Sox, who ended up winning the World Series that year. But if you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates, man, that team they just got a lot of young guys that they've been counted out. And everybody knows that this Pirates team was really bad going into the season, and they've overperformed excessively. They swept the Red Sox. I think they won their series against the Astros. It's super impressive, but right behind them is the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 15-7 in that division as well. They just lost their series to the Red Sox 2-1 or 1-2, I guess you can say for that way. But the Cubs are 12-9 in that division as well. They got a nice little start to their team. Well, I appreciate everybody listening to this. If you made it this far, somehow, some way you've listened to my voice for, I believe we're recording for 57 minutes now. God bless your soul. I'm so sorry that you have to listen to me talk this long. Like I said, I know I don't have the most appealing voice for radio or podcasting or TV at all. But if you ever valued anything I've ever said in life about sports, I really hope you enjoyed listening to this, because this is what I'm going to do. And I started out by talking about these scores and all these things. And I know I started with a lot of in-depth about the NBA because that's kind of what I watch a lot. But it's going to be a lot more free-flowing, smooth going forward. This is just the first episode. I'm trying to get the feel of it. I'm trying to get the feel of what you guys like, what you guys want to hear. I know a lot of you guys listening right now are friends of mine in the past, or somebody who's gone to school with me in the past. Maybe friends of those guys that have helped repost and spread the word of my show. So if you're just now learning about me, please stay. Trust me, it's so much fun. We have a lot of fun in here. We're gonna get you guys involved as well with the show. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I appreciate you all supporting me. It means the world to me. Like I said, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. This is a passion of mine. Sports is. So please stick around. It's such a fun time. I really love talking sports, and I know you guys do too. So please stick around. Join me Wednesday. We're going to do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We preview the weekend on Friday. Wednesday, get the midweek. Monday, recap the weekend just like we did. We're going to have a lot of fun on the show, I think, and we're going to try to keep it to a little less than an hour. But nonetheless, I appreciate you all joining me here today. Like I said, I'm your host, Alex McNinch, and guess what? You just got your Sports Digest.